This season we have another son who is following the Formula One footsteps of his father, 17-year-old Max Verstappen.
He's obviously a very talented young man. I think age is irrelevant.
While first impressions can be deceiving, Max Verstappen is quite clearly no ordinary teenager.
My ultimate goal for sure, is becoming a Formula One world champion. I don't really care about the expectations they give me. I just focus on what I have to do myself.
Well, the talking is about to stop and the driving is about to start. What's up, guys, and welcome to episode number 1 of The Road to Red Bull. Well, it's been a long time coming, but we're finally here at Albert Park in Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix and the first round of the 2015 Formula One season. And we've got a sunny weekend ahead of us. As you can see, the sun is out for practice, and it's going to be the same for qualifying. Talking of qualifying, let's see how Max Verstappen gets on in his first session. So qualifying was about to get underway for the first time this season, and the light was about to shine green at the end of the pit lane. Talking of shining, the sun was shining in the sky in Melbourne, but it wasn't shining down in the McLaren Honda garage. Only one of their drivers could make it out of Q1, Fernando Alonso scraping through in 15th, whereas his teammate Jenson Button was only able to manage 18th in a grid of 20 cars. Will Stevens was lining up just behind him in the Marussia, out-qualifying his teammate Roberto Merhi, but both banners would start on the last row of the grid. Romain Grosjean couldn't get out of Q1 either. He could only manage 16th position. But Max Verstappen put in a fantastic performance in his first qualifying session for the Toro Rosso team. You can see him here coming across the line for second place at the time in the session. And there you can see the eliminated drivers. It was Roberto Merhi who was going to be joining Will Stevens, Jenson Button, Sergio Perez and Romain Grosjean. Neither of those would be taking any further participation in Saturday's running. Neither would Pastor Maldonado after Q2. He couldn't quite make it into the final qualifying session, but Felipe Nasr could. He put on a fantastic performance to get 8th in Q2, seeing him into the final session. Carlos Sainz Jr. could only manage 12th for Toro Rosso, not quite making it into Q3. And neither could Daniel Kvyat in his first race for the Red Bull factory team. He could only manage 14th and was out-qualified by both Toro Rossos, because here you can see Max Verstappen coming across the line for 5th in the session, but now going out towards the end of the session, down after the first two sectors, but managing to improve his time at the end of the session. See him easily into Q3. There you can see the eliminated drivers in Q2. Alonso would be joining Kvyat, Ericsson, Sainz and Maldonado to be eliminated in the second qualifying session, leaving a fantastic Q3 session, but it was Nico Rosberg who would be taking pole position on Saturday here at Albert Park. He was untouchable, and his teammate Lewis Hamilton, the reigning world champion, could only manage 6th place. So it wasn't a great lap from him. He chose to just go for one flying lap. And Sebastian Vettel will be lining up on the front row of the grid alongside Nico Rosberg. A great lap from the Ferrari driver on his first outing for the team. And Daniel Ricciardo could only manage 10th position for the Red Bull team, meaning that Max Verstappen will be the highest ranked Red Bull driver, obviously in the secondary Toro Rosso team. And here you can see him flying through the final sector and that left-right chicane, and it was 4th position for the Dutchman. And there you can see the grid for Sunday's race. Daniel Ricciardo and Felipe Nasr lining up on row 5, with Nico Hülkenberg and Felipe Massa lining up on row 4. Lewis Hamilton and Kimi Raikkonen could only manage the 3rd row, and Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas would be lining up on a very youthful 2nd row, with Sebastian Vettel and Nico Rosberg locking out the front row. And now it's time to get into the race for the Australian Grand Prix. But there you can see Max Verstappen looking very happy, and so he should be. What a qualifying it was from him. Let's see how he does in the race.
Okay Max, best of luck today, and make sure you enjoy the race. It'll be difficult to maintain position, but just try and bring some good points home.
Well, once again, the sun has greeted the drivers on Sunday evening here at Melbourne in the Albert Park circuit. And there you can see the pole sitter Nico Rosberg. He'll be looking to take his first victory of the season. And there Valtteri Bottas sitting in a very good 3rd position. he'll be looking to score some good points for the Williams team. And here you can see Verstappen's strategy. They're looking to do a 3-stopper, so the tyre wear on this Toro Rosso isn't looking too good this season. We'll have to see how that goes as the race pans out. But now we're sitting here on the grid. Verstappen lining up for the 5 red lights. And away we go after an absolute eternity. We are away for the 2015 season. And Verstappen already getting mugged off the line by the Ferrari and the Mercedes of Raikkonen and Hamilton respectively as they nearly tangle through turn 1. And Verstappen manages to just about maintain 6th place. It was always going to be difficult to fend them off, and now as you can see coming through to the braking zone, Verstappen taking a look down the inside of Hamilton, getting very squirrely under braking, nearly locking the tyres. But coming through this fantastic camera shot, you can see that there's a lot of cars on Verstappen's tail, so he's really got to be aware of what's around him. And obviously we've got a very heavy car at the start of the race. So, yeah, very heavy on fuel at the moment. So it's going to be very difficult to control this Toro Rosso, which it's a pretty quick car in qualifying. But in the race trim, Verstappen at the moment is struggling a little bit to control the car. And there you can see that Massa's gone down the inside of him. He just hasn't got the turn-in that he would like. The long runs on Friday afternoon that Verstappen was doing, he was getting this understeer problem on the long runs, and now he's trying to dive up the inside of Massa, but he just doesn't have the confidence really on the turn-in in these, especially the high-speed corners that really characterise this Albert Park circuit. So it could be a long afternoon for Verstappen if that's going to be the case, but I'm sure as the fuel burns off, he will certainly adapt to this circuit. But now you can see coming towards the end of lap 1, and the gap to Massa is 7 or 8 tenths of a second, and Hülkenberg is only 2 tenths of a second behind. But now we're getting a replay of the start, and you can just see the wheel spin that Verstappen gets off the line. But it was no surprise that he was jumped by the Mercedes and the Ferrari off the line. And a fantastic camera view here we can see. And Nico Rosberg streaking off into the distance at the early stage, and Bottas also getting the jump on Vettel. And now you can see Daniel Ricciardo taking a look at Max Verstappen. Of course, both of them with the Renault engines, but Verstappen just struggling out of the final corner. In these early stages, he just doesn't seem to be at ease with the car. Obviously, a lot of pressure on him. Obviously, starting in 4th position was fantastic. But still in 8th position, and that is the factory Red Bull car, which you would obviously expect to be quicker than the Toro Rosso. And come lap 7, you can see here that Verstappen on the DRS, so he's managed to keep with Ricciardo pretty nicely at this stage. But I believe he will be coming into the pit lane very soon, because just look at the tyre graphic there. I mean, you can see how much tyre wear he's getting. And now I believe we've got some team radio.
Okay, box. We're going to go for the undercut. Full revs to the pit exit. Let's get past Ricciardo.
I mean, yeah, you can see how small the gap is up front to Ricciardo. So it's a very, very... well, it's not actually too risky a strategy to do this, because I think Verstappen, if they can do a good pit stop down at Toro Rosso, yes, they can. Fantastic pit stop. I believe it was about a 2.5 second pit stop. So now they've done that, Verstappen's got every chance to get ahead of Ricciardo once he pits. But the tyre wear later on in the race may not favour Verstappen. So he could live to regret that, or it could be a fantastic decision as he slots in between the two Manor Marussia cars. And now we've got some yellow flags out as he's just about to pass Will Stevens, but now they are green. So I wonder what's happened here. I believe once again we've got some more team radio to tell us what's happened.
Be careful of the debris on entry to turn 9. Lewis Hamilton has a puncture from it.
Well, what on earth has gone on there? So Lewis Hamilton, as we ride on board with him here, you can just see that he just gets a puncture, so nothing more than that. And Roberto Merri, in fact, ploughed straight into the back of Hamilton when trying to pass him, and now he's down in last position in the race, and he just caused utter carnage down at turn 11 and 12, and that is just not what you want to see. But here, Verstappen getting past Will Stevens, so the Dutchman is not messing around. He's made 2 positions on this lap, and skipping now onto lap 9. Valtteri Bottas, in fact, pitted at the end of lap 8. So he's right behind him now. So Verstappen pitting that lap earlier than Bottas really has managed to gain on him. And now at the start of lap 10, is he going to be able to get ahead of Ricciardo? They're side by side on the pit exit. Verstappen gets past Ricciardo, so it's paid off pitting those 2 laps early just about, and he's got the DRS to make sure that he's got a big enough buffer to get past the Australian. And currently Verstappen is the highest ranked Toro Rosso driver, so it's looking good for the standings at this point in the race. But come the end of lap 13, already Verstappen's tyres are starting to go off. You know, pitting at the end of lap 7, I believe, so his tyres will be coming up to the end of their lifespan pretty shortly, and Raikkonen now goes around the outside of Verstappen. Very good move, and well, Ricciardo fancied a piece of the action there, but he just couldn't quite get past. So I believe we're going to take a look at a replay now from the back of Verstappen's car, and you can just see from this camera angle that Raikkonen just breezed past, and now Ricciardo just sort of pulled out of the move. And to show that Verstappen really had nothing to do with that and that there was no contact, you can just see here on the replay that Ricciardo just didn't turn into the corner, so he was a bit apprehensive on the turning. But nonetheless, Verstappen managed to maintain his position and actually managed to make up a couple of positions, seeing as there were cars in the pit lane, I believe, at the end of the lap. But he's got a puncture! He's got a puncture! He's just pushed these tyres too far. He hasn't been on them for that long, but that is awful luck for the Dutchman. Surely that's race over now.
Okay, left front puncture, left front puncture. We'll examine what happened later, just get it round to the pits. We're sorry, Max.
Oh, that is awful luck for Verstappen. He was having a fantastic race, and he'd only been on those tyres for 7 laps, so it wasn't as if he was really pushing them that far. But that is rotten luck for the Dutchman. He's got to nurse it back round to the pit lane, and he has lost so much time in doing that. That really is awful luck for him. And now you can see coming into the pit lane, it's going to be a long pit stop, and he's going onto the prime tyres for this stint. So I think it's going to be an option dash to the end, but really he's got to try and, well, just sort of not risk it. I mean, he'd love to go to the end on this set of tyres, because I know that he was sort of contemplating a 2-stopper, but from now on he just can't risk it. I mean, he's down in 19th position now. It's only Roberto Merri that's behind him, and surely it's going to be another 1 stop from here. And anyway, at the end of lap 15, you can see that that is Sergio Perez in the pits. Yes, it is indeed. So Verstappen is up into 18th place. And now this is very interesting. At the end of lap 16, you can see that that is Nico Rosberg, who is lapping Verstappen. So in itself, that's awful luck. But just to prove that this Toro Rosso has a lot of pace, especially at this stage of the race, you can just see that Verstappen is in fact keeping up with Nico Rosberg. I mean, yes, he's on worn tyres, but I mean, they can't be that worn, because they are of course the option tyres. Well, even if they are worn, I mean, Verstappen's on the prime tyres, so he's not on the quicker compound, and he's keeping up, and he's even he's unlapped himself from Nico Rosberg in effect. So fantastic pace from this Toro Rosso, which really isn't one of the quickest cars in the season, but showing that he has the potential to even pass a Mercedes when the conditions are right. And anyway, on to lap 19 now, and we've got a McLaren Honda that's off there. So that is some awful luck for Fernando Alonso. He may have an engine failure, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be too surprised considering it is a McLaren Honda, but it's all going on at this stage of the race. And that's Will Stevens, who's, I believe, has lost his front wing. And I think Roman Grosjean's got caught up in that as well, because he's going very slowly. And that is Verstappen up into P14. So it's looking difficult for points, because I mean, he's still got to stop another 1 more time, and I believe all these cars have stopped for the final time. But Jenson Button, who I believe has just pitted, is still getting his tyres up to temperature. Verstappen's going to say, thank you very much, I'll take you round the outside, up into 12th position. So fantastic there from the Dutchman once again, and I believe he is due into the pits, and maybe not at the end of this lap, but at the end of lap 22. And he's up into 10th position now, seeing as there are cars that have pitted. And he's just behind Felipe Nasr, so will he be able to take him or not? I'm not sure. But Verstappen, you know, that puncture is completely done for him, because you think how many positions and how much time he lost as a result of that puncture. And he's still got to pit another time, so yeah, it's looking as if points aren't going to be likely. But he's trying to somehow get his way past Felipe Nasr, and he doesn't want to waste any time in doing so, because like I say, he's got to pit again, so every bit of time that he loses is going to be valuable. So can he make his way past the Brazilian or not? I don't think he can quite do it. And no, he can't. So rotten luck once again for the Dutchman. At the end of lap 22, he says enough is enough. I'm going to come in for my final pit stop and put on the set of the option tyres. So as we get a little bit of a glitchy pit stop, no surprise on this game, of course. But anyway, coming out of the pit lane, and for the final time, my voice is starting to go because this has been an action-packed race throughout, and he's out in 15th position, so points are looking incredibly unlikely at this point. He's a good 20 seconds off the points as well, but still he's trying to make the most of these battles, and now he's up behind Sergio Perez. So can he make his way past the Mexican on lap 24? Just 5.5 laps left in this Grand Prix. Is he going to go around the outside? No, he isn't. He's going to tuck in behind and maybe try and get the undercut here. And yes, he does. What a fantastic little switch back there from the Dutchman, showing his aggression. And that's a lovely move from Max Verstappen, moving him up into 14th place. So now at lap 28, obviously finishing a lap early, and that's Maldonado going slowly, so I think he's probably had a collision of some sort, in which case I would not be surprised in the slightest. But Nico Rosberg has taken out the race win, and Verstappen comes around the final corner, where he's driven superbly this weekend, but hasn't got his rewards. P13 for the Dutchman in a very, very disappointing Grand Prix. So now it's time to look at the race classification, and there you can see confirmation that Nico Rosberg took the victory by a commanding margin over Sebastian Vettel, in fact, with Felipe Massa pipping his teammate Valtteri Bottas to the final podium spot. So Massa had a great race, in fact, and then Ricciardo and Kvyat finishing 5th and 7th, way ahead of the two Toro Rosso guys. There you can see Sainz in 11th and we're down there in 13th place, being lapped as well. Both the Toro Rosso drivers, in fact, being lapped. But we did, in fact, beat Lewis Hamilton, who finished 14th. Only one DNF, and that was Will Stevens. There you can see the Drivers' Championship, which is, of course, identical to the race classification. The Toro Rosso, well, yet to get off the mark in the Constructors' standings. There you can see Red Bull up in 4th on 16 points, so it's not hard to see who had the better weekend.
Well done on this weekend, mate. You drove fantastically. Hopefully we can get a bit of luck next race.
Yeah, there you can hear on the team radio that they're a little bit disappointed, but very happy with the way that Max performed. And there you can see the standings. So this is the little graphic that I was talking about that I'll be comparing Verstappen's results against Red Bull. So there you can see that Red Bull, of course, both of the drivers outracing Verstappen, which means they get 1 point. And Verstappen, though, did manage to outqualify both of the Red Bull drivers, in fact. So 1 point to him in that aspect. And the fastest lap field, that is basically out of all of the out of the three drivers who managed to get the fastest lap. And this race, it was Verstappen, so he gets 1 point to his name. I believe he did a 29.3 compared to the Red Bull drivers whose fastest laps were in the 1 minute 30. So that's fantastic for him. Neither of them, of course, scored any podiums, and in terms of World Drivers' Championship points, the Red Bull guys definitely get the point for that. But anyway, that just about wraps up today's video. If you have enjoyed this first episode of The Road to Red Bull, then do make sure to leave a like down below. I'll be back next time for the Malaysian Grand Prix, where hopefully our fortunes can take a turn for the better. But yeah, until then, guys, make sure you take care of yourselves. I'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.